Hey buddy, watch this.
Hello, Regis Kilbin is the name, and Hearthstone is the game, and this is the Advice Arena, where I give you advice on playing Arena. This time around, we're going to be jumping into a Warrior run. Warrior has never been my favorite Arena class, but it has actually gotten a little bit stronger recently, particularly in Whispers of the Old Gods and the previous adventure before that, but I'd like to learn it a little better, and hopefully you can learn it a little better alongside me, and we can maybe put together a nice little run here. So let's jump right into the draft. Up first, of course, we get to choose from a rare or better. This time it's 3 rare cards. Here, let's speak to Grim Patron. It's actually a decent card in Arena, because sometimes it can just get out of hand, right? Opponents don't always have ways to deal with multiple spawning patrons, so if you have a way to activate it with a card like Blood to Ichor, for instance, then that can be pretty good. Upgrade is an okay card just because weapons aren't too bad in Arena, and 1-3 weapons aren't too bad in Arena. Other weapons are fantastic in Arena, so if you can get a 1-3 out, it's okay. If you can upgrade another weapon, it's pretty fantastic. All that said, I think I'm actually going to take the Blood to Ichor here. One mana summon a 2/2 is really good, particularly because it also does the 1 damage effect. So it has some flexibility and a lot of raw power for a 1 mana card. So I definitely want to give that one a try. Up next is some more rares, but unfortunately not ones to get too excited about in my opinion. There's Target Dummy, which is just really bad. 0 mana 0/2 taunt. It's a taunt, which it has the one thing going for it, but it can't attack, of course, it dies for free. Plus it's 0 mana, which means it's just going to thin out your deck so significantly, because anytime you draw that, it's just basically a virtually dead card. So you'd have to have a ton of card draw to make really cheap cards like this worth it. And unfortunately, we're probably not going to get a lot of reliable card draw out of a Warrior in Arena. Mana Addict is okay for a 2-drop, but she only has higher attack on your turn, which means that your opponent gets to trade into her at a very weak attack value, so usually it can set up favorable trades for your opponent. And there's just not that much upside, particularly with a Warrior who has trouble casting spells to buff this. That said, I think we'll take the Kezan Mystic here. There are some secrets in Arena, particularly against Mage, so occasionally we can maybe get some value off of a really powerful secret. Alternatively, it's just the only halfway decent card of the 3, I think, so feels like a pretty easy choice to me. Up next, Twisted Worgen, 2 mana 3/1 with Stealth. This is a pretty solid card. Since it has Stealth, it's very hard for your opponents to take advantage of the fact that it only has 1 health. It can still trade up really effectively on turn 2 and allow you to set up some buffs or combos or various other ways. Just pressuring as a minion, which is nice in the early game. It's even okay late, because if you need that 3 damage that's unavoidable, sometimes Twisted Worgen might be able to set you up for it. Unfortunately, 1 health is not as good with Warrior, because you can't utilize stuff like Blood to Ichor, but it's still okay as a 2-drop, because Thrallmar Farseer, it's hard to say, it's pretty bad. It's a 2/3 for 3, which is his bad stat. The Wind Fury makes it attack for 4 per turn, which still isn't that good for a 3-drop. Remember, our Kezan Mystic also attacks for 4 per turn, so it's really not any better. In fact, it's worse, because it often dies after it makes the first attack and trade, and it doesn't trade up very effectively. Priestess of Elune is also a pretty weak card. 4 health for 6 mana is just not that exciting. Battlecry is not any good in a Warrior either, just because we have lots of ways to restore health with a hero power, so usually we don't care too much about heals. We're looking for stats and good minions, which means we will take the Twisted Worgen here. Okay, up next, this is a pretty bad set of cards, honestly. Mogushan Warden's just bad. Yeah, it's a big taunt with a lot of health, but the attack value is so low that it never trades. It usually just lets your opponents kill it for free, basically, so it's no good on turn 4. Leper Gnome used to be a little better when it had 2 attack, because it could trade up into some 2-drops, while also, of course, offering that Death Rattle that kind of weakens your opponent and whittles down their health over time. But now that it only has 1 attack, it's really not that exciting of a 1-drop, just because it doesn't trade up very effectively at all. Which means we'll actually take the seemingly terrible River Crocolisk here, just because it does have reasonable stats for a 2-drop, and, you know, it's the least bad of all those minions. It's not the best, it's the least bad. Up next, this is interesting. Dragon and Crusher's not the worst card ever, I don't think. I mean, it's 6/6 for 6. It's basically like a poor man's Boulder Fist Ogre with a tiny bit of upside late in the game. but really only if you're ahead. So if you're already ahead and they're down to 15 health, you don't necessarily need it to be a 9/9 as much. So it's a solid card. Bloodhoof Brave feels like a pretty good arena card to me. It's got a lot of upside with the enrage effect, so usually on turn 3 or 4 your opponent will have difficulty doing 6 damage without enraging this. Occasionally they can probably make favorable trades by attacking with one minion first versus the other, but it's still a bundle of stats, as much as a 5/5 essentially, or a 2/6 to start, so it's got reasonable stats for the cost. And a lot of upside, so I like it a lot. Dark Iron Dwarf is also a good 4-drop though. So it's a little tempting because this one just allows you to trade up with stuff like that River Crocolisk or that Twisted Organ to make them better. It doesn't have the highest health value, but we don't have a taunt just yet, and I want to play with some Old Gods cards in particular. So I think I'm going to take Bloodhoof Brave here, even though I think it's very debatable because Dark Iron Dwarf is actually a really good card. Up next, more bad cards. This is not off to a good start at all. Goldstar Footman's just a bad 1-drop. Again, it's taunt, but the attack value is not enough. That seems to be a theme. Warbot is a sort of okay 1-drop just because it does have the 3 health. The problem is there's just not a lot of upside. Warbot Blood to Ichor would be a sick combo to open the game, but I don't know how consistently that's going to happen. Bloodfin Raptor is basically a River Crocolisk, but flipped around, right? It's equally good, equally worse, however you want to put it. It just depends on the turn or the situation. I think I'm going to go ahead and take the Warbot here, just for the potential Blood to Ichor monster turn to start the game with a coin. We could basically have a 2/2 and or 2 2/2s out on turn 1, which would be really awesome. We might also draft into some mech synergies later. I don't love the card. It's a bad card. Don't get me wrong. They were all bad cards. In fact, most of the cards thus far have been bad cards. So it's hard to make all this work. Here, Enrage falls prey to the 0 mana card, and we've already got quite a few 1 mana cards as well. So we're going to race through our deck pretty quickly. We keep taking these cheap cards. I think it's an okay card. It's much like Blood to Ichor in many ways, just slightly different. But I think we're going to pass on it because we already have one ping effect with Blood to Ichor. We do need to build some minions. War Golem is okay as a 7-drop. It's got a big body. That said, I think we'll get better late game cards later in the draft, so we're going to pass on it. We'll go ahead and take the Aberrant Berserker here. We do need solid 4-drops. We've got a few enrage effects here, so more pings and stuff will be good, or whirlwind effects later. We can kind of build a set of cards that benefit from being pinged off. Then we're going to have a cool little synergy as long as we get some of those whirlwinds and more Blood to Ichors and so on. Here we'll go ahead and take the Obsidian Destroyer. I think it's a pretty solid card, and like I said, this is just a strict upgrade to the War Golem. You basically get the same 7/7, but you also get the 1/1 Scarab with Taunt. Sometimes those 1/1s can really interrupt your opponent, so much rather have the Obsidian Destroyer than the Jormonger here. Ironforged Rifleman, although it does have the ping effect that synergizes nicely, it's just got too weak of a body to play on 3. Half the time it'd be a pretty worthless card, so we'll definitely start filling in the bottom of our curve here with the Obsidian Destroyer. Okay, more 2-drops up next. Explosive Sheep is kind of board removal, kind of enrage activators, but 2 damage is a lot to intentionally do to your own minions, even to benefit from these enrage effects that we have with like Bloodhoof or Berserker. So I think we're going to pass on the Explosive Sheep. We already have the Crocolisk, and the Amani Berserker is a strict upgrade to the Crocolisk because we're not going to have any beast synergies. This is yet another enrage card. I don't love enrage and not just going crazy for enrage, but that's what we're getting so far, and it is certainly a theme for Warriors, so we'll have to play with that. Okay, so up next, Corrupted Healbot Death Rattle, restore 8 health to the enemy hero. This is a solid card, it's just a big body. The downside can be punishing in some late-term arena games, essentially, but it's not that bad, particularly if you play it on 5, it's not bad at all, usually. Bloodsail Cultist is a pretty solid card too, just as a 3-mana 3/4. Sometimes in Arena that's really good. Just the stats are fantastic for the cost. It trades really effectively into 2-drops and still sits around with 3 attack, which is nice. The Battlecry is also really good. Unfortunately, I don't think we're going to have a ton of pirate or weapon synergy to rely on. We haven't drafted any pirates or any weapons yet, so we can't really count on that upside. So that said, I think we're actually going to take the other Blood to Ichor here because we do have so many cool enrage effects that can go to work. Okay, so here is Slam. Nice card draw. That's a ping effect that can either hit, of course, opponent minions or our own. So there are some benefits to our own side of the board, but also to the opponents. I'm quite tempted by Slam. Youthful Brewmaster is okay. It's a 3/2 body. The battle cry is often hard to use, and it doesn't look like we have that many cards with instant effects right now that would benefit from like being played twice in succession with Youthful Brewmaster. Zombie Chow is actually just insanely good in Arena, just because it's a really solid body on turn 1. So I think we're going to have to take the Zombie Chow over the Slam. It's really quite debatable, but I just like Zombie Chow too much to pass up, I think. Okay, up next, more awkward cards. Yay! Blackwing Corruptor is amazing if you have some dragons and can get it off consistently, but we don't have any and probably won't have any, so we can't afford to take that card. Torn Warrior, although it does have an enrage effect, and that is certainly a theme. At 3 mana as a 2/3, it often just dies for free to 2 drops, which is not good. The 3 health is just too susceptible for a 3 drop, so it's hard to make that enrage effect work. Heroic Strike has some utility on 2. You can kill a lot of 2 drops or 3 drops for 2 mana, which is pretty nice, and sometimes it's just damage in the late game too. So I don't mind taking Heroic Strike here, kind of as a 4/1 weapon that costs 2 mana in many senses. Up next, a bunch of junks again. Junk minions again. Dragonlane Mechanic is okay. It's actually, I think, slightly underrated. It's just a 4/5 statted minion that's split across 2 bodies, which can be pretty reasonable, but it doesn't always trade very effectively since they both have a little bit lower health. Bluegill Warrior is a pretty decent card as well. It's kind of a 2 mana deal 2 damage spell that sometimes sticks around to fight another turn. So absorbs some hits, you know. I also really like Bilefin Tidehunter. We have solid assortment of early game, but the taunt here can be very meaningful, and it's just a bundle of stats for 2 mana. So I don't think we really need the charge effect from Bluegill since we already have like the Blood Takers and Heroic Strikes. We have ways to react to things. So I want to make sure we have enough proactive minions to play early in the game. So if you look at our curve right now, we're all 2s and 4s with 1 late game card. So 3 mana cards are starting to look really enticing at this point, as are 5 and 6 mana cards. That said, the decision here for Fierce Monkey is super easy. Really strong statted minion with taunt. It's kind of like that Bloodsail Cultist I believe we saw earlier, but the taunt is nice, and it's the best card of the set anyway. Duskborch just way too susceptible. Rockjaw Trog is okay, but hard to work particularly well in Arena, plus we have a pretty nice little set of 4 drops already, so we don't need to fill in 4s until maybe 1 or 2 more till the end, so we'll for sure grab the 3 drop here. Okay, this is a tough decision. This is the exact same 2 cards almost. We got the Tidehunter, we got the Bilefin Tidehunter. The Murloc Tidehunter is a little worse because the 1/1 it summons does not have taunt like it does with the Tidehunter, and we don't have Murloc synergies in this deck, so we prefer the Ooze with taunt over the additional Murloc. The Bluegill's still decent. Dread Corsair can be really good if you have a weapon, as it's a huge tempo play. If you have like an Arcanite Reaper, you can equip the Arcanite Reaper, play the Dread Corsair for free, and you've had an amazing turn 5. The problem is we don't actually have a weapon yet. We have 15 more cards to get a weapon. It's quite tempting. It's very likely that we will get a weapon. So I think I'm going to go for the Dread Corsair over the Bluegill. The same reasons I didn't feel like I needed the Bluegill last time still hold true. So let's get greedy and try for the Dread Corsair to make it work. Wow. Okay. Nice set of epics. Sideshow Spell Eater, not that good. Our hero power is probably one of the worst in Arena, but the stats aren't super exciting at only 5 health. It's a fine card. Pilot Sky Golem's an amazing card just because it's a bundle of bodies for 6 mana and has a very aggressive stance. But I think I'm going to take the Gorehowl here. We needed the weapon, and Gorehowl can just remove so much stuff. And we have a lot of taunts and defensive kind of cards, so we can get out an early defensive game, probably keep our health reasonably high, and then utilize Gorehowl to essentially keep up in the late game and remove stuff. And we should have a health as a resource to do so without risking our life too significantly. Because look how many taunts we have. 1, 2, 3, 4 taunts, actually 5 with the Tidehunter plus some early game cards to help us get out. So we'll take the Gorehowl. I like the idea of making the Gorehowl work. Okay. Footman's still bad. Zealous Initiate's hard to work with, I think. If you play it on 1 and you like sacrifice it to get the Death Rattle, usually the attack it makes is not significant because it just runs into like a 3 health minion. And then maybe you buff your River Crocolisk to a 3/4, which is okay, but it's like you sacrificed a mana and a card to do so. I think I'd rather just have the N'Zoth's First Mate here. It gives us a nice weapon that could make Dread Corsair a 3-drop, which is more reasonable. And 1/3 weapons are not bad because it essentially serves as like a ping for the mage to you know, pick off things with only a health. Plus, it's a 1/1 minion, so okay. Here I think we'll just grab the Fierce Monkey again. We don't necessarily need the other Dread Corsair. 1 is probably enough to serve as like a 3 or 4 drop, and we still do need some 3s. You'll note the gap here in our curve, and I really like Fierce Monkey as a card. I think it's pretty reasonable. Shadows and Cleric's not bad since we have so many early game minions. There is actually a decent chance that we'd have something on the board and be able to play this. But I think it's almost just as reasonable to protect a lot of these enraged guys behind taunts as opposed to just trying to buff them through. So I'm going to take the Fierce Monkey. Okay, this is an easy choice. Death Bite is an amazing card. We love the Whirlwind effect. We love the stats. Fairy Dragon's fine. Silvermoon Guardian's pretty weak. Death Bite is an easy choice. Works nicely with our Dread Corsair. So we'll definitely grab that. Okay. Here, really easy decision for me. Twilight Guardian's a decent card, but again, we have no dragons. So it's just a 2/6, which isn't good. You really need it to be that 3-attack minion with taunt, or it's just understated and ineffective. Hungry Crab, I mean, there are Murlocs in Arena, but that's getting this to hit consistently is just way too risky. Grand Crusader is actually a fine card. It's some card draw, which we don't have right now. Essentially, it's not from our deck, but it's generating resources for us to help us fill in. Plus, there's a lot of good Paladin cards, and it can be very surprising for your opponent to have to guess which one it is. And it's got decent stats, and we do need some bigger minions, 4s and 6s and some 7s, and so on and so forth. Here, I think we'll take the Mechanical Yeti. The Ellune's bad. The Booty Bay Bodyguard's really understated for its cost and too susceptible despite having taunt. I'd rather have a 5 health minion than a 4 health minion, and it's a mana cost cheaper, plus we can benefit from spare parts as well. Okay. Tentacle N'Zoth is actually kind of intriguing, right? Since we do have some enrage effects that we like, but unfortunately we also have some 1 health minions with the Tidehunter and the N'Zoth's First Mate, so I'm not sure getting this out ever makes sense on 1. It could be pretty risky later in the game. I think I prefer just the Huge Toad to have another 2-drop. We can stand to have another 2-drop or 2, just to make sure we're consistent early, but we need a couple more 3s and some more late game cards. Man, second Zombie Chow, that's tempting. Use of Sergeant's also pretty solid when we've got these 1-drops to help them trade up. We've got a lot of early game, and I feel like we've got 7 picks left. So we really need to make sure we get some 3s and 5s and 6s. So I'm kind of thinking about Lord of the Arena, even though it's a pretty miserable card, just to give us some late game bodies. Because if we draw 1-drops all the time, we're going to be in trouble. We do need to fill in our curve a little later on. So particularly without card draw, right? We've got so many 1-drops we could just run out of cards. This is a tough decision. I think I have to take the Lord of Arena, even though I really like the other 2 cards better, just because of the way our curve looks right now. Like, look how many 1s and 2s we have. We've got a nice set of 4s, but man, I'm just thinking we have to get better 5s and 6s later, right? We've got 7 picks left. We need like 2 5s, maybe 3 5s, and another 6 or 7. Abusive Sergeant looks pretty good just on this early stuff, the Warbot and the N'Zoth's First Mate, even like the Murlocs we've got here on the River Crocs. I'm going to take the Abusive Sergeant. It might be an intriguing decision, but here I think we'll take the Tomb Spider just because it's kind of card draw and we might need that around turn 4 or later. The Polluted Hoarder is also card draw, of course, but the stats are a little more susceptible. So I'd rather have the Tomb Spider, which also, discovering a beast, sometimes you can get amazing beasts, and we can fill in our curve, right? We can choose a higher cost beast if we need it. So the Polluted Hoarder can't just magically generate higher cost cards for us. I do like 3-drops, and Argent Horse Rider would be really nice to have, but since we don't have any 5s, we kind of can use 4s to fill in the 5 and 6 spots, right? Like 4 hero power for a turn 6 is okay. And this gives us the chance to lengthen our curve a little. Oh, man. Alright. So we still need more 3s. You can see the hole here. But we do have a lot of 1s and 2s, so sometimes you can piece together a turn 3 out of that. We're going to have a lot of 4s if I take Evil Heckler. I kind of like it for a 4. It's better than Booty Bay Bodyguard, obviously. It's the same card, but it's 1 mana cheaper. Flesh-Eating Ghoul is also kind of intriguing, right? Like, we have some early game that might be dying while Flesh-Eating Ghoul is out on 3. So we play a 1-drop and a 2-drop, and then Flesh-Eating Ghoul. Maybe we can sacrifice our 1-drop and our 2-drop. Plus, this card can sometimes just get out of hand, and we've got a lot of taunts. So, you know, if this gets up to 5-6 and then we hide it behind a taunt 3 or 4 turns in a row, it could just win us the game. So I think curve considerations are going to make me pick Flesh-Eating Ghoul, even though I might not usually do that. So here we'll take another Fierce Monkey. Tournament Attendee is too low, and it's a solid card, actually, at 2 attack, but it's just too low. Ogre Brute is slightly better attack than Fierce Monkey, but half the time it misses, so it's fine. But a Fierce Monkey is really good, and we like taunts, and we like that card a lot. Here we'll take the Silverhand Knight. We definitely need 5-drops, and we got 3 of them, thank God. I think they're all okay, but the Silverhand Knight has the best stats, and I don't really think we'll need the healing from either of these, particularly this healing, which could be detrimental to our Enrage cards. So Silverhand Knight's just the biggest bundle of stats of the set. Here we'll probably grab the Arathi Weaponsmith. I'm still kind of intrigued by Tentacle, but I want more cards that if I top deck in the late game actually have an impact, as opposed to if I top deck a Tentacle of N'Zoth and play it from an empty hand. That's not going to be exciting. The Weaponsmith can do a little bit of work with like Dread Corsair, and it gives me some stats. Man. I like weapons a lot in Arena, but we've actually got 1, 2, 3, 4. And there might be situations where we can't even play the Weaponsmith. We already have the Gorehowl equipped. I don't think I want to take another one. I think I'm going to take the Annoyantron here just to give myself a taunt and some early game annoyance. It's good with Abusive Sergeant. It could be good with Blood to Ichor. It's another taunt to protect some of our high damage and rage type cards. We'll try Annoyantron. Shield Maiden's the perfect card, honestly. It's defensive. Fills in some gaps here. And Defender Vargas is also good, particularly this early game. And Sparring Partner is okay. It's more taunts and decent stats for a 2-drop, but Shield Maiden, we need some bodies, and we need some stuff to protect Gorehowl hits, like to protect us from eating minions all the time with Gorehowl. So we'll try the Shield Maiden out. All right, so that's our list. I think we're gonna call this the Gorehowl Warrior, since it is the probably the defining card of the set here. I don't know if I love this list all that much. We can be aggressive early. It's just that our hero power doesn't really suit that mentality. So we'll need good starts and smooth curves to win games here, I think. But we've got the potential. We've got some nice weapons. We've got some tempo plays. We've got some crazy stuff with Kezan. I'm just worried about our 5-drops in particular. We're basically going to be playing 4s on 5 all the time, or 3s and 2s. So it may be hard to keep up in the mid game. So we need to win probably quite quickly and play somewhat aggressively. Smart, but aggressive. So we'll see how it goes. I really don't like Warrior Arena runs at all. Never feel like I'm comfortable. Probably because the hero power is pretty low on the impact scale. Doesn't affect the board at all. So, I don't know. We'll see. Starting off with a Paladin. Cool, cool.
I will fight with honor.
Alright, so that's actually a pretty solid curve. We wouldn't mind a 1-drop, but I mean, this stuff all works together pretty well, so I don't know, we're going to keep it probably. If we draw into a 1, that'd be nice, but there's really no reason to toss back 3 pretty solid cards. That's fine too, might be important. I don't mind him playing a 1-drop probably, because most 1-drops will not have 3 attack, which means they could line up pretty unfavorably with the Berserker. Secret's a little troublesome. We don't really know what that's going to be. Probably Noble Sacrifice if I had to guess, because he wants to protect his 2-drop. That might work out in my favor because it can activate my Amani Berserker, and I'll be playing it behind a taunt, right? So there could be some advantages to that. We'll go ahead and see. This could be Redemption too, like he could spawn a second loot order, but that's really no different than... So maybe it's Competitive Spirit or Avenge. But anyway, I've got a 5-1 now to trade into his 3-drop, so we're in a pretty good spot. And I will likely play the Tomb Spider over the Bloodhoof, trying to find something like a 5-drop or just a minion, because we do have the board pretty firmly right now. So playing the Bloodhoof is not necessary at this point. Bluegill, Argent Protector. Actually pretty good because it threatens my my Amani Berserker. This is slightly better because I can deal with these now. I think that's gonna be an Avenge. So I'm gonna kill the 2/2 that's gonna get avenged here. Probably gonna kill this. It's not Avenge. It must be Competitive Spirit. This is a little debatable. I guess I'll just go face. Even if it's Competitive Spirit, that's just a 3/2. Hopefully he doesn't have a Consecration. We get punished pretty hard by that. I mean, not that hard though. We'll still have the board at the end of the turn. So what is the secret? Maybe it's I can't even remember the name of it, but when I play my 4th minion, it gets killed. Sacred Trial or something like that? Oh, he does have the Consecration. Man, that's brutal. Really, really brutal. So we're going to take the board back, but that's just really annoying. I don't have a way to activate the Bloodhoof Brave right now, so I'm not sure that it's the best play until I know for sure I can activate it. I think I'm going to try the Tomb Spider and the Warbot for now. And what can we get here? Oh man, I might have to take this just because it's the biggest thing. I can't play any of the other ones right now, so there's no advantage from those. I think I'm going to take this. It's not my favorite card, but it's the biggest card. So we need bodies, right? We need cards that make an impact. So we can kill something with 6 health with Heroic Strike. We can also play Grand Crusader. I don't really love my turn right now. I guess Bloodhoof Brave Heroic Strike's pretty good. I kind of wasting half the weapon charge. I'm only getting the +2 attack out of the Heroic Strike when I kill the Drake from it, but I'd really like to play the Grand Crusader, so I could sacrifice the Tomb Spider in my weapon instead. Perhaps I'll just do that to make sure that I keep big bodies on the board. Otherwise, I won't have much attack power because I'd only have... Oh, that's pretty good. I'd only have the 2 attack from the Bloodhoof and the Warbot, so I'd only have like 3 attack out on the board, which really wouldn't be that exciting. Well, I guess I still have I only have 6 attack on the board, which I have now, but it would require more minion sacrifices, and I think this is just a more efficient use of my resources. Okay, let's see what we've got here. We can actually just kill that with our face with the Rallying Blade and the Heroic Strike. That's 5 mana. I can't do much else, but I don't really need to do much else other than hero power, and I might need the hero power just because we're taking a fair bit of damage, and we have a significant board, so I think we're okay. That was a pretty clean kill, and we have the weapon. So I actually have 9 damage in hand right now, and he's at 15. We can get out this Grotesque with a taunt. It might very well live. Paladin could have trouble dealing with that without things like Fireball. I mean, as long as we do have the board, that is. that's just a 5/5. I can Blood to Ichor the Warbot and trade it in, but then I don't really have a great way to kill this. But I could just play I could just trade and play the Dragonhawk. Then I'd have a 2/2 and the Dragonhawk and the weapon. We don't have lethal in any way, so I think that's what we'll do. We'll just, I guess it doesn't actually matter which one we Blood to Ichor. We could have Blood to Ichor the 3/2, but it's more fun this way. So we'll just continue to clear his board, and we'll play this because it's the biggest guy. And theoretically, we have lethal set up, right? It's 10 plus 3 plus 2 is 15. If he can't deal with this stuff. Or taunt. And our hand is a little thin, right? Like, we can actually play all these cards next turn. So we're quickly running out of resources. Seal of Light. He might just be healing out of... He's thinking about lethal range here. It's a good clear, but... Mechanic Drake. I will probably just attack face and trade into that. Oh, I can't trade into that, can I? Shoot. So maybe I'll just play a ton of taunts while going face. We have another weapon next turn, so... Oh, I can't play this. I'm fairly certain... Oh, Sacred Trial does kill that. Cool, okay, that's even better. That's the best possible outcome. So I'm actually going to go face with this weapon because I have the Death Spite. I want to equip next turn, so I have to maximize my damage over 2 turns here. And he's got 3 taunts to get through, even to kill the Grotesque Dragonhawk. I don't know that he can do it. Equality Consecrate obviously would do it, but out of 3 cards, he's already played a Consecration. That seems insanely unlikely. And it would be incredibly frustrating. He'd have to have Equality Consecration plus a taunt. So I don't see that coming. I don't even think Tyrion wins in the game here. It's just over, hopefully. Some sort of really big taunt might. Like Bog. What's the name of that card? The new Old Gods card? No, he doesn't have it. It's Tsar. Cool. Cool, cool, cool. Good win. So the little taunts really do work pretty nicely to protect your high value assets. And I'm glad we took that Dragonhawk. It's not a good card, in my opinion. But worked out pretty nicely there. We needed the high status, or the high mana cost, high curve minion, and that's what we grabbed. And thankfully it set us up to win the game. Another Paladin. Hopefully not the same guy. Alright, so here we get the 1-drop. We will definitely send back these big cards looking for early game, because we need the early game. I'd like to see a Blood to Ichor. Oh! Okay, so we're going to have a 2/2/2/2. Man, this is going to be a rockin' start. Hopefully he does not play a 1-drop that kind of disrupts our momentum here early, because we can just go crazy. We'll have 2 2/2s, followed up by a 3/2, followed up by a Flesh-Eating Ghoul that might just trigger off all these things dying. So we're going to have a pretty brutal beginning here. If he has something like Consecration or some sort of early weapon to deal with this, I don't even know what early weapon it'd be, though, because Light's Justice won't deal with it, and he would have played that already. So we're going to have a fast start. If he has a 2/3 minion, it's going to be way better than if he has a 3/2 minion. He just has to... Oh, well, that's the same as a 3/2. So that's like the best possible counter to what we have happening here. But we're going to go face and make him do the trades, right? We're not going to sack 4 damage into that because it will take him multiple turns to kill minions. And obviously, he can kill the huge toad first, but it doesn't really matter. That ping didn't actually help us any. So this is pretty good. And I think I'll go ahead and kill one of these just so he can't kill my Fierce Monkey. I'd like to get the Flesh-Eating Ghoul Abusive Sergeant out. We'll see how that goes. True Silver Champion's pretty rough. If he has it. Because we're going to run out of cards real fast if he continues to handle our stuff. Secret might be okay.
Back to your homes.
So we need to kill that. That's probably Noble Sacrifice. So, we don't really have a good way to do this right now. We'll play the Ghoul. And, We'll go face with this just in case it's Noble Sack. If it's Avenge, he's going to end up with a really big dude here, but that's okay. Could be Redemption too, but it is Redemption, so yeah, that kind of sucks. But we have a lot of stuff out, so he may get some value out of that now. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of whirlwind effects either to punish like hero power dudes. Oh, that could be a big flame juggler. Oh, that's pretty big. I mean, it made this guy stronger, but he doesn't need to attack much right now. He has multiple ways to kill it. I mean, he can just kill it no matter what its attack is. So, really, kind of a annoying flame juggle. Sort of a good turn, but not the best turn ever. Gotta play the 5-drop here, and I'll go ahead and pop this Divine Shield. Otherwise, that guy dies kind of for free. I mean, it's gonna be an even trade here, but I think we're gonna fall behind pretty fast here. He's got more cards than us, and we're not gonna have high impact cards. The Shield of Minibot honestly was devastating to our start. Doesn't help us at all. Divine Strength is annoyingly good. A lot of 1 health stuff that I cannot kill right now. Weaponsmith's decent at killing that stuff, but it dies for free to the refreshment vendor. Could also play this and kill one of them, but then the other one kills it for free. I think this gives me the best chance to keep a minion alive. If he attacks either one, the weapon can kill the vendor. He's also kind of low on cards. I hope that's all really weak stuff. Hope that's all really low impact stuff. Oh man. Well, it's better than Gorehowl. Whatever. It's better than Gorehowl. Kazan Mystic, where were you a minute ago, man? We're playing a secret class. Get your stuff together. Come on. We'll play the Shield Maiden, and I think this is probably the best way to trade it. Theoretically kills 2 minions, and he's going to be able to kill the Shield Maiden no matter what, so. This is really precarious set of turns. If he has a bomb, like a big bomb card, we could really be in trouble. That's pretty annoying. We need like the Gorehowl now. Okay, thankfully that's not like the best one of those. Ugh, that's really not a good enough card. Oh, man, this is a bad setup. That's such a powerful card for a 4-drop in Arena. It's so stupidly powerful. I don't think we can recover from here. I think we're just dead in the water. That summons a good Murloc in particular, like another Murloc Knight, we're just donezo. Alright, well that's another bad one, but we don't have Whirlwind effects. No Whirlwind to deal with all this junk. Whoa, that's a good card. Yikes. I think we're in trouble. He's gonna have to... Oh, okay, yeah, that actually makes sense. Oh, Consecration could be good. I mean, we can't cast it yet, but it will definitely matter. Tuskar is okay, but not very exciting. I don't even have any way to break that shield. It's so stupid. I can't kill it. I mean, I can send 1 minion in, I guess, but... Oh, goodness. I'm gonna let him sort it out, I guess. It doesn't matter, right? He can't kill anything extra valuable with it himself than if I sacked one of them, so... I don't think we got it, boys. I think we're gonna lose this one. This thing is just giving him free cards every turn, which we're not benefiting from. Could feign Consecration, that'd be nice. So, he can... I don't know, yeah. Oh, that's a good one. Card draw is so insanely valuable. It's a card, at least. Like, we have a couple bodies here. I can't afford to wait and play this for the heal. I just have to play it as the body. We've got to kill this Murloc Knight. It's really dumb. He's gotten 3 free cards out of this Murloc Knight because we haven't had a way to kill it. It's just devastating. It's interesting. He doesn't have enough to kill these now. that's not going to work because now he has to kill one of his Murlocs. Unless he gets a charge Murloc, which would be insane. Oh, that helps too, but not that much. We really need a whirlwind effect. I don't think we get any from that. Man, that's a heck of a play. What I wouldn't sell I'd just sell my soul for a whirlwind right now, but our deck doesn't have one. Sort of okay. I don't really have to use the Rusty Horn yet. I don't think I will. He's still trading, but he can't summon a Murloc until he trades. It doesn't really matter because he's got so many 1/1s. He really needs to utilize the card draw here. This game's super over. We have no way to come back. Even a Gorehowl doesn't win us the game, but it's really unfortunate we haven't drawn a way to deal with this Murloc Knight yet. That's insane. I would have killed this one for the card draw first. Like, this one doesn't actually do much. Plus your board's full, so I think I would have killed this off for the draw card, because now he's just giving me the opportunity to find a brawl or whatever. Not that we have one, but he doesn't know that. Yeah, we just have no way to win. He just trades everything for free. Keep summoning Murlocs. This thing has generated ridiculous value. I don't even think he got one last turn because he filled his board up weirdly, but why did he use the 4-2 instead of the 4-1? What? I mean, I guess he's not trying anymore, but come on. Tomb Spider, is there any card that wins the game for me? I don't think so. Nope. Don't think so. Obviously this one's the correct one to taunt because it has higher health, but the game is over, so it's totally irrelevant. Alright, so that's going to be 1-1 for our Gorehowl Warrior. Despite being the Gorehowl Warrior, we haven't actually seen Gorehowl just yet, so that's a little sad. He really just had the best counter to our best open. Shield and Minibot was really quite impactful. Not a good, and we just don't have the resources to recover from someone countering us early. A little sad, a little sad. Thought we had just a fantastic start. Perhaps we should have traded one of the 2/2s into the Shield of Minibot to kill it when it killed the Huge Toad. I don't think it would have mattered. He got to dictate the Huge Toad's death rattle anyway, and he would have had the 2/3 up, so it wouldn't have made any difference. We could have killed both of them into the Shield of Minibot, but then our 3/2 would have just died into his 2/3 Bloodsail, so there's really no reason to do it for him. Alright, so that's going to wrap it up for part 1 of the Gorehowl Warrior. We'll be back before too long with part 2. Thanks so much for watching, and until next time, game on.